guys, it's Syama here, CEO of Scaling Retail, and this week we're talking about how brick-and-mortar retailers can start to look at really starting their first store. More specifically, what to do about payment terms and how to actually get yourself and create better terms with those brands. Now, I recently had a really interesting conversation with a young woman who was opening up a new lingerie store in the Midwest, and I asked her, how's it going? What are your first collections looking like, and how are you planning to open the store? And you know what she told me? No one is willing to sell me their product because I have no history of opening up retail stores. And she found herself in a bit of a conundrum. So what do you do if you want to open up a retail store, but you don't have the history as an entrepreneur or a business owner to be able to negotiate and get those goods? You've got to take a look at what you have on your side from a negotiating standpoint, what materials you need to prepare in order to be able to close the sale, how to really be able to get around the topic of exclusives and how to get new product into your store, as well as payment terms and credit worthiness. Now, certainly as a young business owner, it can be really difficult to establish what your credit worthiness is. So we're going to go into a little bit more detail on how you need to set up your first vendor negotiations and how to actually get product for your new retail store. So before you get started and you start pitching and going to market, one of the very first things that's extremely important is to have some sort of brand DNA. What does your brand stand for? What is your pitch deck? Who are you speaking to? What is the customer and the assortment looking like? It's extremely important to have a full 360 idea of all of the logistics and brand marketing opportunities that you're going to be presenting to this new vendor. Is it that you're opening up a store in a really unique neighborhood where there isn't any other competition? Is it that you're opening up a new kind of direction or your business model is somehow unique and special? Really identify what that power is going to be for your small business so you can really define the voice. Now, oftentimes people will tell me, well, Syama, isn't every market saturated? And what I like to tell them is, yes, markets are saturated, but there are undersaturated voices. What is the voice that your store and your brand is going to be putting forth in the market? Once you establish what that profile looks like, make sure that you start to apply for your business tax ID, your resale permit, as well as starting to build that credit worthiness as a small business. That credit history is very important because your second step when it comes to pitching these new vendors is going to be to send over all that documentation around your positioning, how you plan to really open up and expand the market in your area, but then also in case they want to factor you, you're going to also want to make sure that you have that credit history and that credit worthiness. Now, factoring is something that is usually really left to some of the bigger retailers. However, small retailers oftentimes will ask to be factored. And factoring is simply where you have a credit check against your business, and there is a company that is there that's financing what that order looks like. So I'll give you a more concrete example. You go to market, Neiman Marcus wants to place an order for your brand. Right? Well, as a brand, you might say, that's a big order that Neiman Marcus wants to place. I want to make sure that I'm going to get collected on those payment terms, so I'm going to contact my factor to see if I can get financing to cover the receivables of that order. Now, why is that important? Well, it really helps to mitigate the liability on the side of the brand, and Neiman Marcus is then paying the factor directly and not paying the vendor directly. However, once that credit check is done, if Neiman Marcus's credit line isn't so great or they haven't been so good on paying their bills, then guess what? They're no longer going to be entering into those net 30 payment terms with the factor. They're now going to be paying the brand directly. So brands prefer to use factors because it really helps them bypass chasing up and chasing after invoices. And also oftentimes retailers prefer factors because it allows them to take advantage of net terms. Now, when we talk about net terms and how you establish net terms, there are some pretty basic ways of looking at that. Certainly as a small retailer, chances are you're going to be paying things with your credit card, or you might be able to say, hey, I'd like to pay 50% of this up front, 50% of this upon delivery, or upon shipment, or you might even say, hey, I know I'm a new brand here, but I'd like to pay net 15 or even net 30. And what those terms mean are simply 15 days after the goods arrive, you then as the retailer are then due to owe your invoice back to the brand, or 30 days after the goods arrive, you pay off that vendor. Now, the challenging part as a new business is that you can't really take advantage of a lot of those terms without showing credit history and credit worthiness. So when it comes to negotiating those terms, you really want to keep in mind, what can you offer to that brand? Can you do a 50% down and maybe a net 30, 50%? Really start to understand the different ways and be flexible about what those payment terms can be. The next step. Now that you know kind of the logistics around negotiating terms and what you need to bring to market, how do you actually conduct yourself in a market-appropriate way in order to get a brand to take you seriously? This can be a real rookie move. Oftentimes, young store owners will walk into a showroom or meet a new brand and they'll say, I love everything. I love this brand, everything looks great. But honestly, what does that tell the vendor? It tells them that, hey, you don't know what your customer wants. You don't know how to discern between what a bestseller might be or what something is not going to be moving. And guess what? Your vendors don't just want to sell product to you once. They want to be selling product to you over and over again. So when you walk into that showroom or that buyer appointment meeting, you really want to make sure that you're armed with what exactly it is you're looking to buy, maybe a mood board or a classification or kind of open to buy plan for your business, so you can then actually speak really intelligently about what key items you think are going to be working for your business. Now on to a favorite topic. Online exclusives, in-store exclusives. How do you actually land exclusives with a brand? Well, this is actually a really important topic because when you think about what you're going to be asking of a brand, you have to really be able to back it up. So how do you back it up? Well, chances are you might have to place specific minimum units behind that. You might need to say, hey, I'm willing to buy 25 or 50 units of that particular color or fabric or whatever it is that makes it exclusive in order to really be able to get them to say yes to those exclusives for you. The other thing you might have to your advantage is being new in a particular region. You might ask for exclusives on distribution within your particular market. Now, just the other year, we opened up a store in the Middle East in Bahrain. And what was so fascinating about opening up the store is that it ended up being an exclusive to a lot of brands for that particular market. Now, we didn't get exclusive colors, we didn't get exclusive, styles, but we were able to capitalize on having exclusivity within Bahrain. And that becomes a huge selling point if you are a new boutique within your region that has a very unique point of sale and kind of distribution model. All right, guys, best of luck to you as you go into the wholesale marketplace. Remember, it's all about positioning your brand, providing lots of information, building your credit history, and walking into those appointments with a really clear point of view, knowing the financials that you're looking to hit, as well as the product categories. And remember, nothing is set in stone. You and your vendors are able to actually create what those payment terms can look like. And to be honest, small vendors can be quite flexible. So be really nurturing with them. Don't screw over your partners and make sure that you have contracts in place to protect both of you guys as you move into launching and opening up your store. For more information on how to successfully build up your wholesale business, make sure you check out our article on the wholesale lingo. Lots of interesting terms and terminologies when it comes to negotiating, as well as setting up those business models. And make sure you check out our download on product pricing, a how-to. This is extremely important, guys, as you look to go into the wholesale market, build up your assortment, and then start to figure out what those markups can look like. Certainly you have some standardized markups and MSRPs across vendors, but oftentimes you have a little bit more wiggle room when it comes to pricing than you think you do. Please leave comments below. Congratulations on starting your new retail venture, and send us an email over at hello@scalingRetail if you have questions on business modeling, marketing, and how to drive traffic to your new retail storefront. We would love to help you. And lastly, head on over to Instagram @scalingRetail, where you'll find up-to-date content and news on all things that are happening in retail strategy that you need to know about. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much. Bye.